We want to encourage persons in the consumption of alcohol, those who choose to ensure that they know that alcohol on its own is an intoxicating substance, and persons now are adding other substances to alcohol like cannabis and MDMA, synthetic substances like Molly we have in St. Lucia, and we want to advise persons or warn them that adding substances as such to alcohol, the consequences and the effects become even more detrimental to their health. We also want to advise persons that these events might be happening at the midday hour when, our weather in St. Lucia, our climate, it can be hot. And alcohol is a substance that dehydrates the body. So we want to remind persons to drink a lot of water so that they will not suffer from dehydration from alcohol and so on. We want to tell persons too that in these large crowds, it's to stay aware and, to know or to be able to follow their drinks. That no one spikes their drink with any substance that would have those adverse effects on them. That's a risk that unfortunately in these large events and large crowds that persons run, the risk of being spiked with, or their drinks being spiked with certain substances. Well, according to the World Health Organization, just little amounts of alcohol on its own can be harmful. And when somebody crosses that line and, is excessively using alcohol, you open yourself to many risks. One of them being, of course, we know, and in our communities, our nation, we see many road fatalities. We see the accidents, persons deciding to drive and drink or drive under the influence. So we want persons to know that alcohol inhibits or it interferes with our judgment. You will not be able to drive. So don't put your life and other persons at risk. Apart from drinking and driving, we have persons who, have injuries, other injuries like falls and other accidents that, can impair their health in terms of those injuries as well. There's also alcohol poisoning, where persons drink so excessively that, it puts them in a state where their health is compromised, even hospitalized with excessive vomiting and severe dehydration and all of that. And these are the immediate risks of using alcohol excessively. And of course, we know over the years, using alcohol like that would contribute to a lot of the diseases that we see. Our NCDs, diabetes, issues with our liver, our kidneys, hypertension, and so on. So we want persons to be aware of those effects. So we want to tell persons to create a buddy system, have persons who will check on each other. Again, be aware when we see, one of our friends or our relatives probably drinking excessively, and start the alcohol is already affecting them, encourage them to stop, or probably drink some water or something and take a break from the alcohol. Encourage them to eat as well. That would be helpful in putting them in a state where they can probably recover a little faster. But also ensuring that at the end of the day, everyone gets home safely. So if we go out as a group, ensure that everyone has a way to get back home safely. And that's what we want to emphasize, that your safety is your priority at those events. And even at the events where you see someone is uncomfortable or something is happening that the person, does not want to remain, respect that person, and again have a way that this person can be removed from the situation and again ensure their safety. Well, for the smokers, we want to remind them that, clean air is a human right, and to respect other person's wishes not to smoke. So if you decide to smoke, separate yourself from the crowd, know that there are vulnerable persons in the crowds that you are. There might be pregnant people, there might be persons with asthma, persons with other respiratory issues that would be aggravated by the smoke. So we ask persons to respect the rights of other persons. We also remind them that, after smoking, not to litter, not to, dispose of the butts on the streets or at the event. Ensure that it's disposed properly, because these same butts can get into our natural resources and eventually affect them. Yeah, for the event organizers too, we want to remind them there are laws governing their events, especially as it comes to tobacco control in public spaces. So we want them to get acquainted with those laws, that there should be restricted areas for persons who decide to smoke. We want to commend the organizers of like this year of jazz and those places. We heard there were messages of not smoking in public, and persons testified that it was less. So we want the same to continue, to ensure that everyone enjoys themselves. So if, there will be smokers, but ensure that there's a space for them to smoke. They would have signs to designate these areas so that no one is confused as to where those areas are. And again, respect the laws of St. Lucia. There are laws governing the public spaces as it pertains to public smoking. Well, from us at the Substance Abuse Secretariat, Ministry of Health, we want everyone to remain safe. We know that there are substances in our communities that, if persons are not aware of, it can affect them. Mixing substances can be dangerous. During that time, persons would want to use substances to ensure that, they attend as many events as possible, have as much as energy as possible. So we want to tell persons that they're really putting their bodies under severe strain and stress to take care of their bodies, even during this time. So to be aware and ensure that the memories they make, they can live to tell it. So their safety should be their first priority. Getting home safe after all of those events should be their first priority.